Yep, you're good to go.
All right, awesome. All right, well, welcome. I'm Tara. I know a few of you are preparing your lunch over there right now. I'm a dietitian at Mass General, and we do a few cooking demos here at Revere in the Health Center for the employees. We have 2 recipes to present today. So we have a garlicky Brussels sprouts and a sweet potato cauliflower mash. So the theme of today's cooking demos is healthy holiday vegetable side dishes that you can bring. So what we're going to do is we're going to start actually with the Brussels sprouts. And in a few minutes, I'll introduce my stellar diabetic intern, Veronica, who is helping me prep in the background right now. So first, I'm just going to chop up some of these Brussels sprouts. So you want to trim the ends off. And then we will take off some of the outer leaves. They're already washed. Take off some of the outer leaves for you. They don't look so great. And then we're going to shred them up. So we already have a bunch that are shredded, so we'll be adding those to the skillet shortly. So the main theme today is really to showcase some of these healthy holiday vegetable side dishes. So the holidays can be a stressful time for trying to eat healthy, and a lot of times the side dishes can be really high in fat and calories. So these are some easy ways with just a few ingredients to really showcase some lower calorie but tasty side dishes that people will really enjoy. So what we're going to do is we're just going to shred up some of these Brussels sprouts. Might be hard to see the detail of them, but you just want to cut them in half and then put them on the flat surface and then basically just shred them up so they're nice and fine. And then this way, a lot of times too, because Brussels sprouts are not everyone's favorite vegetable. So this way, you kind of shred them up a little bit. Veronica had a great analogy, actually, if you want to share it with everyone.
Sure, yeah. So I know sometimes eating like a full boiled or steamed Brussels sprout, the texture can be a little off-putting. But when you shred them and then saute them, it's almost more like having sauteed spinach or sauteed collard greens, any other type of green that's sauteed, and the texture and the flavor too is a little bit milder when they're cut that way.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to saute them up with a few ingredients. So these are called garlicky Brussels sprouts. So if you like garlic, you're in luck. If not, you can always taper down. But this recipe calls for about 9 to 10 cloves of garlic, actually. But garlic has been really studied for its heart health benefits, lowering blood pressure, and also for some of its anti-cancer components as well. So AICR highlights garlic and onions and some of these vegetables, especially the cruciferous vegetables, which we'll be focusing on today, for lowering cancer risk overall. So Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, which we'll show in our mash that Veronica's putting together for us, they have a compound called glucosinolates in them, which have been known to help decrease inflammation and also help in fighting anti-cancer properties as well. All right, so we have a lot of these Brussels sprouts already chopped up. So what we are going to do is we're going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to the skillet. The recipe calls for about a tablespoon and a half. Since we are going to double the recipe, we're going to do a little bit more than that here. Basically just to coat the pan, you don't need a whole lot. Remember that a tablespoon of olive oil does have 120 calories, so you want to keep portions in check as well. And we'll just wait till the skillet's nice and hot. And we have a ton of Brussels sprouts already shredded up for you, so everyone can see. Hello, I'm seeing some of my familiar faces here. How's everyone? There are recipes on this table if you'd like to grab them. So we'll wait till the pan is nice and hot here. Turn up the heat a little bit. Hopefully you don't blow these. I'm going to use all of these beautifully shredded Brussels sprouts. And we'll fit as many as we can in this pan. They do shrink down, so similar to spinach when you cook it down, shrinks down a lot. So it looks like a lot, but it'll end up, the recipe that you have in front of you makes about 2 cups cooked, so about half a cup per serving. Try to get a nice saute on these guys. Then start to hear them sizzling a little bit. What we'll do while we're waiting for this, we're going to chop up some of the garlic. So we already have a bunch chopped up, but because this recipe calls for a lot more, so now that we have some audience members, has anyone ever cooked Brussels sprouts before? Yes, Corey. How do you like them?
I like to roast them.
You like to roast them. Awesome. So do you put anything else with it? Any sort of seasonings or anything else when you prepare them?
Olive oil.
Olive oil. Good. Yep,
Yeah.
Perfect. How else have people had their Brussels sprouts before?
I boil them a little bit, and then I
Yep.
fry them with the garlic and the olive oil, and I put red pepper flakes.
Oh, red pepper flakes. Very nice. Nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook for about 5 minutes or so before we add the garlic. A lot of recipes call for adding garlic early on, but sometimes you got to watch and make sure that you don't burn it. So we're going to add it on a little bit later, but we'll still have it in long enough so that it really gets in that nice garlicky flavor, but that's not that raw, raw garlic flavor either. Alright, so I'm going to chop up some more of these cloves. We do have the minced garlic as well, so already in the jar. So for ease in operation, if you can come across fresh garlic, you can always use that. But the fresh garlic lends a really, really nice flavor. And typically I find that you tend to use less of the real fresh garlic overall. We're just going to chop it up. The recipe calls for mince, but some of the other recipes, they actually end up just throwing, garlic halves right in there. So it kind of depends on your preference overall. So, did anyone really just like Brussels sprouts as a kid growing up? Or did you all seem to have an affinity for it early on?
I never had them.
You never had them? Yeah.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, so that can be sometimes, I feel like Brussels sprouts, when I was doing, a search to see, they seem for some reason to be universally hated among all the vegetables for some reason. So this is hopefully a way to showcase, to kind of turn, if you're going to bring this dish to the holiday table, to show some family members that Brussels sprouts can fit and they can work as part of the holiday sides. We'll see how these are doing. Get them there. I'm going to crank the heat a little bit. And I think we're going to be ready soon to get a nice green color. I think we're going to be ready soon to add the garlic. Sweet potatoes coming along good? Oh, they look great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Finally now.
So what we have going on in the background is a sweet potato cauliflower mash for you. So has anyone ever used cauliflower as a kind of a mashed potato substitute at all?
Rice.
Say it again?
Cauliflower rice.
Cauliflower rice. Yeah, there you go. And then Jeb was just telling me that his wife made the cauliflower pizza, which is also a cauliflower pizza crust. So cauliflower, I think sometimes, people forget about because it looks boring. It's broccoli's lesser known sister, right? And but ultimately, even though we want to be getting a nice variety of color on our plates for vegetables, make half your plates non-starchy vegetables, we don't want to forget about the cauliflower because that can actually be really versatile and a way also to decrease calories and overall starches in something like a mashed potato. So you can make a cauliflower mash or a turnip our parsnip mash as well. So this are just some other cruciferous vegetables to kind of add in to experiment with. But this cauliflower, what we did is we're steaming it, and what we can do is actually turn this one on. Perfect. There's water already in there. You just turn it on fine. We won't cover it. So we're steaming the cauliflower with sweet potato to give it that texture. But overall, you'll see when we switch to that recipe that it can be a nice way to kind of decrease some of the starch overall and a way to add another non-starchy vegetable to the dish. All right, so we have a lot of our garlic added in. We're going to do a little bit of our pre-minced garlic as well. A little bit more. So if you don't like garlic, go home. There's about 10 or so cloves of garlic per recipe in here. We're doubling the recipe. I didn't quite double the garlic, so I didn't want it to be too overpowering. But we got a lot going on in here. Yeah, you can definitely smell it, exactly. All right, so what we're going to do too is there's a little bit of apple cider vinegar. You don't want to add too much, so it'll be overpowering, but it gives it a nice burst of flavor. So this one I add in as well. Let's see, I think it calls for about a tablespoon. So since we're doubling the recipe, I'm going to do a little bit. I'm going to do a tablespoon or two in here. Brings out some nice flavor without really adding any calories. And the last thing too that goes in here is just a little bit of brown sugar. So just a tablespoon and a half. So when you break it out per serving, this recipe makes 4 servings. So it's really not a whole lot of sugar that's added in, just for a little bit of sweetness flavor. And again, remember, we're doubling the recipe, so it's going to be more than what the recipe calls for that you have in front of you. Right. We're going to make sure add all this in. It's getting there. And then what we can do, too, at the end is we're just going to add a little bit of water to, it'll boil off, but to make sure that we cook all the Brussels sprouts down so that they're nice and tender. So this recipe was actually a hit at my Thanksgiving dinner once, and for many people that turned their nose up originally on Brussels sprouts. So I recommend giving it a shot, even for people that have never had it before, because you really get all that flavor from the garlic, a little bit of the apple cider vinegar to mellow out the flavor of the Brussels sprouts that people may not like. Plus the texture, as Veronica said, it's already, it's shredded down, so you're not eating an entire boiled Brussels sprout. And add a little bit of water. And another way, too, if you're short on time, if you have access to a food processor, you can always shred the Brussels sprouts. You can pulse them in the food processor about 12 to 15 times. And then that will give you the nice shredded consistency that you're looking for as well. And we're just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. So it's just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt for the whole recipe. So it doesn't end up being too much salt per serving when you break it down. Just to give it a little bit of flavor. And then just some pepper to taste. Any questions so far? So we're just going to let the water boil off a little bit, and then it'll be ready to serve soon. So not so bad. I mean, really only, 15 minutes that you're really doing some cook work, just really just prepping a little bit with the shredding of the Brussels sprouts beforehand. All right, so we're ready to serve and dish them out. If you guys would like this one warm. So what might be easiest is if you just come up here and sample a little bit.
Don't be shy. It's delicious.
Get those garlicky Brussels sprouts. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, a lot of nice flavors in there. You're welcome. Just do a little bit of serving. Anyone else? All right, I'll put some over here so people can grab a sample.
In case you change your mind.
Yes. All right. Jed and Chris Sam, save you some samples over here.
Thanks.
Yeah, you like it? What do you think of the garlic flavor? Is the ratio, is it too much, or do you think it's a good balance?
I love garlic, so.
Yeah.
I
feel like if you're a garlic fan, it's fine.
You
Yeah. And I still feel like all the flavors together, I've never found it to be overpowering. I've just found it to kind of, mellow out the Brussels sprouts a little bit.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm tasting that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And just a little bit of touch of sweetness, and again, touch of the, brightness and freshness from the apple cider vinegar. And then you have all your nice garlic in the chip. All right, cool. Awesome. So the next one will demo a little bit of the prep work for the sweet potato cauliflower mash, but we have that actually already set to go. So that's going to be good. All right, so that's one holiday side dish down. Is anyone doing the cooking for holidays coming up? Or holidays? Yeah? Already did it? It's your holiday off. Very nice. Do you have to bring any sort of side dish or anything? We're also going to showcase a healthier dessert next week that Veronica's going to do for us, too. So, I know everyone's ears perk up, like, oh, all right, Brussels sprouts, whatever. Oh, healthier dessert, okay.
Well, these are great side dishes to eat, anytime. Not just at the holidays,
Yeah.
but I mean, go with whatever you happen to be making during the week, since they're so fast.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll see, so the sweet potato cauliflower mash, so basically what I have here, so we're just going to peel one of the sweet potatoes, and then we have a whole head of cauliflower. So the recipe, if you follow along, if everyone has one in front of them, it's really easy. It's 2 sweet potatoes. So you peel them, you chop them, you rinse off the head of cauliflower, you chop it up into florets, and then you steam them. So we have one right now on the stove, and then also you can steam them in the microwave as well. And then you mash it up, and then we didn't have the butter yet, right? All right, so we have just a little bit of Smart Balance Light that we're going to add to it. Perfect. So we have just a little bit of Smart Balance Light. So this is like a butter spread. So it's used with the unsaturated fats versus the saturated fats, which are the artery-causing fats. So this one has less calories and less of those fats in it, more of the heart-healthy fats, if you will. So we have this, and we just have just a tablespoon of that. And then we're just going to do a little salt and pepper, and that's that. So it's very simple. It's one of those 5-ingredient or less meals, ultimately. And it just kind of shows a new way to have, you still have your starch component with the sweet potato, but it's cut down a little bit, you get some non-starchy vegetables in there as well with the cauliflower. So it just kind of cuts it up. And then also you could do a cauliflower mash on itself, but I've heard, some mixed feedback. Some people really like it, some people thought, it came in a little bit bland or boring. They say it's not mashed potatoes, when you have it. So that's why you're right. We pair it with the sweet potato, we get some color in there, we get vitamin A, we get a lot of soluble fiber, helpful for lowering blood cholesterol and blood sugar. and also for regulating GI health and satiety too. So all of these vegetables, they really help kind of fill you up. So you have them, if you round out your plate, if you have half your plate of these, vegetables, then that's something that can be really helpful to help with weight maintenance or weight loss during the holidays. It's awesome. Fantastic.
If you have like a potato masher at home, or even one of those like handheld immersion blenders, you can get the texture a lot smoother and creamier if that's what you like. Everybody has their own preference. If you like it chunky or really smooth. This one is kind of in between. So we just had a fork here to mash it with. So.
Absolutely. And that's a great tip.
But that's another thing too. If people are kind of afraid of the cauliflower in here, you can get it a lot smoother with a potato masher blender.
Mm-hmm. And and like you said, some people, the texture, I've talked to people recently about this, kind of proposing this recipe, a few of the other dietitians, and some of them said that they really liked, this kind of a little bit of, chunky in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Their own preference.
Yeah. It's fantastic. All right. So just a little bit spin on, mashed potatoes. This is awesome. Thank you so much. And we can just kind of dish this up for you. Alrighty. So what I'll do is I'll kind of showcase too, since we already have this prepared, I'll showcase how to chop up some of the vegetables if you need. But yeah, this is at least just a little like, you can put them over there.
Feel free to come up and try some.
Put some over here if you guys want to grab one too.
Okay.
So this is especially helpful too if you're in a time pinch. You really need to put something together, help you quick. Then you just want to round out these vegetables with a lean protein. So whether you do a baked chicken without the skin, or if you did lean red meat like a sirloin, or if you did some beans on the side, vegetarian, any sort of fish. So anything, any sort of lean protein, you just want to add to this these sides to really round them out, make them a complete balanced meal. All right. So basically, we just have our sweet potato all peeled up. So now you can see our sweet potato all peeled up. Just gonna get rid of And what we did for the mash is we just really chopped it up into little pieces. So we just kind of went like this. Kind of sliced it up, and then put them into little cubes. So nice and easy. And again, the recipe at home just calls for 2 sweet potatoes. So that's all you had. And then we also have our head of cauliflower as well. Just kind of cut off the stem. We'll cut out the part in the middle, and then just chop up into florets, basically. So the florets are just the cauliflower heads or broccoli heads. Flowers, literally. Cauliflower is really easy to cut through. And then what we're just going to do is we're just going to cut out this middle portion. You can include the stems in the mash, absolutely. It's just a little bit easier to just include florets, but the stems can totally work. Right. So then what we're going to do is we just basically chop them up into little small pieces, and then we have them on the oven right now in a little in a saucepan and then a steamer, just a little strain in the pan, just with about an inch of water or so. We covered it. We put the sweet potatoes and the cauliflower together. So we had the whole head of cauliflower in with 2 chopped up sweet potatoes, and it took about 15 minutes or so. Oh, you can. I'll even let it cool. And then basically we just steamed them for about 15 minutes until they're really fork tender. And then just mash them up, add the smart balance and salt, pepper, and good to go.
Super easy.
So yeah.
Any questions?
What'd you guys think of the sweet potato cauliflower? Yeah, something that you might try out instead of just regular mashed potatoes? All right, we're getting good feedback from the crowd, even though you can't see them.
Taste testers approved.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
I think we're all set.